Hey, what is up YouTube? What is up Aquamigos? Thank you guys for joining me today. If you guys are new here, Aquamigos is our fish community that we have here on YouTube. Here are just some of the fish I have here, my guppy tank right here, and then I have a goldfish right down here. So if you would like to become an Aquamigo, all you have to do is go down and hit that subscribe button, and also hit that bell icon so you get notified every time I upload a new fish video. But today, ironically enough, I don't actually have a fish video for you guys. What I'm doing today is I'm doing a terrarium build. If you are not familiar with my previous terrarium builds, let me show you a couple of my terrariums right here. These are a couple terrariums that I've made in the past, and I have videos on me making these on my YouTube channel, so if you want to go check those out, they are on my channel in the terrarium playlist. You'll just have to look at my playlist section. But yeah guys, check it out. These are some terrariums that I've made already. I like to use alcohol bottles when I do these because I think it adds novelty to the idea of like a terrarium, and I think they're cool shapes. So guys, let's go over here, and this is what I'm going to be using to make today's terrarium. So guys, this is the stuff that I'm going to be using to make today's terrarium. If you would like to make a terrarium, these are some of the things you're going to need. You're going to need a glass bottle or jar of some kind. And by the way guys, this is going to be a closed terrarium, meaning that there is going to be a lid on top. It will be completely closed off, and then you're going to need some gravel, you're going to need some screen door mesh, and you're going to need some soil. As for plants, there are different types of plants that you can use in your terrarium. Typically what I use is succulents. I feel like succulents are very easy to take care of, and they grow very easily. However, I do have these seeds that I've used to plant in terrariums before, like in this terrarium, these plants were completely grown from seeds. And I'm not sure if I'm going to use any of them today, but here's some of the succulents that I would like to use. Now, most of these succulents, I don't actually know what they're called. They're just kind of succulents I've found and I've taken clippings of, but this one is actually, I think this one's an ice plant. So guys, I just wanted to mention that I found out that the term ice plant is actually used to refer to a bunch of different kinds of these ground covering succulents. So I think all these succulents that I have might actually be considered ice plants. That's an ice plant. It's like usually used as like a ground covering. I'm not sure what this one is. I don't think I'm going to be using that one in today's video, but that's a pretty cool one as well. That's another ice plant right there. Over here, I have these plants. They're also used as ground covering, but they're also like succulents. Yeah, I'm not sure what these are called, but they are pretty cool looking. Over here, I have some more ice plant. And then over here, I have another type of succulent. I'm not sure what this one is called either. But the cool thing about succulents, guys, is that you could just take a clipping like that, plant it in the dirt, and it will grow. Part of the reason that I like to use succulents is for that reason. They are just so easy to grow and they're so easy to take care of. So let's go ahead and get started. So what I usually start off by doing is removing any labels on the back of the bottle if they don't look good. And if the front of the bottle has a good looking label or a cool looking label, I'll leave that on. The cool thing about this is that it also gives the terrarium a feeling of there being a front to it and a back to it, kind of like a diorama. The next thing I do is I add the gravel. It's important to have gravel at the bottom of your terrarium because you want to have good drainage. You don't want stagnant water sitting in the dirt because it'll make it turn putrid. The next thing you want to do is cut out some screen door mesh that will separate the gravel from the soil. And the reason you do this is because you want to prevent as much of the soil from mixing with the gravel below, because there is going to be some water sitting down in the gravel from time to time. And if you have dirt sitting in stagnant water for long enough, it's eventually going to turn putrid. By the way guys, I'm going to clean this off. I have some like paint thinner or something that I can get that off with. But the mesh, it looks pretty wonky at the bottom above the rocks, but in my experience it always kind of looks like this. So when I put the dirt on top, it should flatten it down. And guys, there's one more thing that I forgot to mention at the beginning that we're going to need, and that is going to be charcoal. I'll go ahead and link this down in the description below if I can find it online. But the reason that you need charcoal, and you usually don't want to use like barbecue charcoal unless it's a very specific kind, and I don't know what kind that is at the moment, but a lot of barbecue charcoal will have like chemicals in it that'll probably kill your plants. But this kind of charcoal is perfectly fine. And the reason you need it is because when the water passes through in the terrarium, it's going to pass through the layer of the charcoal, and the charcoal will actually filter the water. And then what will happen is, because this is going to be a closed terrarium, the water will eventually humidify and then condensate back up at the top on the glass of the bottle, and it'll kind of like re-water the plants in like a continuous cycle, and every time it passes through the charcoal, the water will get cleaned. Charcoal is pretty messy, guys. Don't say I didn't warn you. So now what we're going to do next, guys, is we're going to go ahead and add some soil to this. And I think if we add soil like, okay, let me think, probably up to about here, that'll be a pretty good amount. Maybe a little higher, maybe like right here. So everything inside the bottle is flattened down, and what we can do now is go ahead and find what rocks we want, find what plants we want. But I think what I'm going to do first is add some water to let the dirt compact a little bit, and also make it easier to dig in the plants. So I picked out a couple lighter colored stones and 2 lava rocks, and I think those would look pretty cool in there, so let's go ahead and place those. Now to select the plants, I think what I definitely want to use is I want to use some of this, and I want to use some ice plant, and I also want to use some of this crazy ground covering succulent, whatever this is called. So you don't need super big pieces of the plants, because soon enough, these plants will start growing like crazy and they'll just take over the entire terrarium. So for now, while I'm doing this, I'm going to keep them in a cup of water so that they stay moist, or I guess like hydrated. Oh yeah, guys, unfortunately, this piece of lava rock did not fit through the top of the bottle. Once the plants take root and start growing, it's going to look really good, and we'll end up with something just like my other terrariums, which are completely growing in and look really cool. Like a little jungle. But yeah, guys, when planting stuff inside a bottle like this with a really narrow opening, it's really hard to try to choose and pick where you want the plants to go. And what ends up happening is like the plants just kind of end up wherever they'll stay. But I think it's cool because, you know, it kind of gives it that natural look. You know, it doesn't look too planned out. And these are going to grow really big. And guys, once you finish your terrarium, make sure that you place it near a window where it's going to get plenty of sunlight. It's already later in the evening, but usually there's a ton of sunlight right here, and the plants love it. The other thing is to make sure that it has enough water. As you can see, there is quite a bit of dry dirt in my terrarium still. But at the bottom, you can see that the water is up to about right here. So I think I do have enough water. But in the first couple days of owning your terrarium, you're going to just want to make sure to check on it. And if you feel like you need to, you want to make sure to add water. Because in order for the plants to take root, they're going to need to have enough water. Alright guys, that's gonna be just about it for this video. If you guys like this video, I'd appreciate it if you gave me a like. That would help me out tremendously. And if you're new here, if you've never seen any of my other videos before, I encourage you to go check out my channel. And if you like what you see there, hit that subscribe button and perhaps turn on those bell notifications. And I'm also gonna have my links to my social media down in the description below. And I will talk to you guys next time. Peace!